spacecraft we've built for NASA are awaiting launch to Mars to study the red planet's magnetosphere. And of course, our private mission to Venus is also progressing too. In fact, just recently, the heat shield for the Venus mission capsule was fit-checked at NASA's Ames Research Center in California. That mission is particularly exciting as it hopes to study Venus's clouds in search for microbial life living in the atmosphere. So, while rockets might be how we started and what we named the company after, these days it represents just a part of the exciting and innovative missions we're undertaking, thanks to our ever-growing capabilities as an end-to-end space company.
Speaking of that, Launch Complex 1 is playing host to its 58th launch today, with 4 other missions having taken place from Launch Complex 2 in Virginia. Today's liftoff is scheduled for just 5-ish minutes from now, and after liftoff, the journey to orbit takes about 9 minutes, with payload SEP happening around 55 minutes later. Here's a simplified snapshot of what that looks like.
Electron will move through a series of pre-programmed milestones that you see here, including max Q, main engine cutoff on the first stage separation between those first and second stages, ignition of the single vacuum-optimized Rutherford engine on the second stage, fairing jettison, second engine cutoff, and then kick stage separation ahead of payload deployment. We'll talk you through each of these milestones as they take place in flight, but for now, it's time to settle in to the final count.
Once we hit T-minus 2 minutes, Electron will take over control from the operators as part of an auto sequence. So all that's left to do is let Electron's 9 Rutherford engines ignite at T-minus 2 seconds for liftoff when that clock hits T0. Let's hand it over to the operators in mission control to listen in on that sequence.
Howdy, GC mission.
GCLE.
ECS is disabled, pad auto sequence is armed, pad is ready for launch.
Copy, thank you, GC. From now, there should be no red flags on your critical LCCs, Beacon LD and Mission Court.
LD Beacon.
Beacon, lock the auto sequence and confirm.
Locked.
And Beacon, confirm all flight computer ASCOs are green.
All flight computer ASCOs are green.
Copy, thank you, Beacon. We are go for auto sequence start at T-minus 2 minutes. LDs go for launch.
The vehicle is fully on internal power. FTS is green and enabled for flight.
LOX load is complete. System is in recirculation. Anti-geysering is disabled.
Stage 1 and 2 tanks are pressed.
High flow engine purge enabled.
T-minus 20 seconds and counting. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Vehicles clear pad to stage 1.
Beginning pitch over. Stage 1 propulsion nominal.
High fives all around as our 60-second Electron lifts off and clears the pad at Launch Complex 1. Keep an eye out on those dials at the top of your screen there to see Electron's speed and altitude rapidly climb as we make our way to space once again. Right now, we're less than a minute, or just about a minute away from into flight, and that means we're not far away from max Q when Electron experiences maximum aerodynamic pressure. Let's listen in for that call out for mission control.
Cleared max Q.
You heard the call. Electron has successfully cleared max Q.
HVB discharge
We're now
nominal.
at just over 17 kilometers in altitude and traveling at over 2,500 kilometers an hour. In just a few moments, the 9 Rutherford engines on Electron's first stage will shut down, signaling the start of stage separation. The main body of Electron, made from carbon composite, will split into 2 parts. The first stage will head back to Earth, while the second stage, powered by its own Rutherford engine, will ignite and continue its journey to orbit. All of this happens in a matter of seconds, so let's stay tuned and listen for the updates.
Propulsion holding nominal. Stand by for MECO in roughly 30 seconds.
"15 seconds to staging.
Entered burnout detect mode.
MECO confirmed.
Stage separation confirmed.
Stage 2 ignition confirmed.
There we go, successful MECO, stage separation, and second stage ignition confirmed. Electron's second stage is now continuing the mission to orbit with those 5 Kinéis satellites attached to the kick stage and traveling at over 8,200 kilometers an hour. Very soon, the 2 halves of Electron's fairing will split and fall away, exposing the Kinéis satellites to space ahead of deployment. This is a process called fairing jettison, and it's coming up very soon, so let's keep an ear and an eye out.
Fairing jettison confirmed.
It's goodbye fairing and hello space for the final 5 Kinéis satellites integrated onto the kick stage's payload plate. We are now just over 3 minutes into flight with less than 6 minutes remaining in the second stage burn.
Discharge holding nominal.
All right, folks, let's turn our attention to the right side of our screens. What you're seeing there are the real-time propellant levels for our second stage. We've got the fuel and ox levels up displayed, and with the kerosene at about 73% and liquid oxygen about 73% as well remaining, it is a great sign that everything is functioning smoothly so far. Let's keep an eye on those numbers as we get closer to staging.
Stage 2 now travelling at over 11,000 kilometres an hour, with that nozzle glowing bright over 179 kilometres above Earth. A beautiful view from our onboard cameras here. How cool is space, right?
Oh, absolutely. That is always a treat. Now, when we first launched Electron, it took with it a few world firsts, including the unveiling of our 3D printed Rutherford engines. Instead of using a traditional gas turbine, the fuel pumps inside Rutherford are powered by electric motors, and those motors are powered by batteries.
During flight, we use up all the power in one set of batteries before switching to a fresh set. But rather than carry the dead weight of those spent batteries all the way to orbit, we jettison them to give us more available mass for customer spacecraft. The nifty little maneuver is called battery hot swap, and it's coming up next.
HVB discharge holding nominal, approaching hot swap in roughly 30 seconds.
Throttling down.
Battery jettison confirmed.
Hot swap successful.
You caught it on your screen there. Battery hot swap has been successful. The next major milestone will be SECO, or second engine cutoff, coming up in about 3 minutes. At that point, the Rutherford engine will throttle down before shutting off completely in preparation for kick stage separation. After that, it's all up to the kick stage after a coast period to deploy the payloads.
HVB discharge holding nominal. AFDS has saved.
Now's as good a time as any to remind you that there's more than just rockets in this lab. And if you want to have views like this be a part of your everyday, there's a place in space for you. Right now we have
Entered burnout detect mode.
Not long now until that second stage engine throttles down and shuts off ahead of kick stage separation. The stage operator in mission control will call it out across the nets, so keep an eye on the nozzle on your screen as it cools down.
SECO confirmed.
Stage separation confirmed.
And there you have it. Electron's second stage Rutherford engine has shut down, and the kick stage has separated for the coast phase as planned. For the next 45 minutes, the kick stage will pass around Earth until it reaches a precise point where the tiny 3D printed Curie engine will ignite to raise the orbit ahead of payload deployment.
This phase is an important period where the spacecraft is essentially coasting through space, following its calculated trajectory without the need for engine burns. During this time, our team will be closely monitoring all systems to ensure everything is functioning smoothly and according to plan. This phase allows us to prepare for the critical moment of payload deployment, ensuring that the satellites are released into their intended orbit accurately and safely.
So while we wait, please sit tight and stay with us. We'll be back in approximately 45 minutes with live coverage of the payload deployment. In the meantime, feel free to grab a snack, stretch your legs, and we will see you back here soon.